Hello friends, today we are going to learn first concept from our curiosity is stateless system and stateful system. So what is a state? The state is a current user's data or a session data stored in between the API request, and how system manages that states determines these two types, stateful system and stateless system. First, in stateful system, client sends login request to server, server validates the user and stores the user data in the session. Server returns that session ID to the client and client stores that session ID on the browser side. It may use session storage, local storage or cookies. And in all further requests, client sends that session ID to the server and server just compares that session ID to validate the user. Now, in the stateless system, client sends login request to the server, server validates the user and generates one JWT token. This JWT token contains the user ID, user role, and user expiry time. So, this JWT token is returned to the client. Now, client stores that JWT token on the browser and it may use the session storage, local storage, and cookies. And in all further requests, client sends that JWT token to server to validate the user. So, you might say in both cases, if the client is storing either the session ID or JWT token in the browser, then what is the difference? So, to clarify, the difference between these two systems is not based on the where the ID is stored. Instead, it is dependent on who manages the state. In stateful system, the state of the user is managed on the server side, and in stateless system, the state of the user is managed on the client side. So, in this monolith architecture, the both systems work in very good way. Now, if we see the microservices architecture, you can see in diagram. Client sends login request. Load balancer will route the request to the auth service. Auth service will validate the user and generates the session to store in the shared data storage and returns that session ID to the client. Now client stores that session ID in browser and sends that in all further requests. And load balancer will route the request to the corresponding server, and all other services will check the session ID in the shared data storage. Now you can see here we required extra shared data storage which will be used by all other services. So here scalability is lesser than the stateless system, because in stateless system we need not to maintain any shared data storage as we are not storing the user state on the server side. Here in stateless systems, client directly send login request, load balancer will route that request to auth service will validate the user and generates one JWT token that will be returned to the client, and client sends that JWT token in all further requests, and other services only validate the user by extracting the JWT token. Here any type of state is not stored on the server side. So we can easily say here stateless systems are more suitable for microservices than stateful systems. Now if we will consider some difference points. In stateful system, we store the user data in the session on the server side. In stateless system, we do not store any data on the server side. In stateful system, we use session ID in every request. In stateless system, we use JWT token, which will be extracted by the server to validate the user. In stateful system, storage is expensive. As we have seen, here we need a shared storage area, which will store the session data to use by all servers. In stateful system, we need not to store any data, so we require less storage area. Stateful systems are less scalable than stateless systems. Stateful systems are faster in API request because we don't need to validate user every time. Stateless systems are gets more time to process the API as every time server validates the user using JWT token. Stateful systems are suitable where less number of users are there, and stateless systems are more suitable in microservice architecture as they are more scalable. Now, one point is remain to discuss is the expiry time of a session or expiry time of a JWT token. Usually, the expiry time of a session is dependent on the system configuration, or it is dependent on the ideal time set. The ideal time for the session is the 30 minutes after user gets inactive, and in stateless system, JWT token expiry is most probably 15 to 30 minutes, which is usually lesser than the stateful systems. In stateful system, logging out the user is more simple than stateless system, because in stateful system, when user clicks log out, then the session gets deleted from all the servers or the shared data storage. So here, if any user tries to hit the API request after logging out, it will show the unauthorized. But in stateless system, if client hits the logout button, then the JWT token from the client side is get deleted first. Then the request is sent to the server, and server deletes the JWT token from its storage. So here might be a time difference between the deletion of JWT token from client side and server side. So there might be a chances that JWT token gets stolen by any other user, and that user can hit any API until the JWT token gets expired. So this is all about the stateful system and stateless system. If you require detailed information, comment below. See you in the next video. Hello friends, today we are going to learn first concept from our curiosity is stateless system and stateful system. So what is a state? The state is a current user's data or a session data stored in between the API request, and how system manages that states determines these two types, stateful system and stateless system. First, in stateful system, client sends login request to server, server validates the user and stores the user data in the session. Server returns that session ID to the client, and client stores that session ID on the browser side. It may use session storage, local storage or cookies. And in all further requests, client sends that session ID to the server, and server